Okay. So some of you may have attended a webinar that I have done previously, which was the Google Conundrum. So you will see as I kind of build this story, which is really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build this great story that says, well, Google has made a lot of changes. And then we're going to take it from there and talk specifically today about how sharing specific content or talking about specific content will help A, solve that Google conundrum, but B, more importantly, really build and engage your audience and let them really start to explore and expand their marketing, expand their relationship with you. I apologize. So with that, it looks like everybody is here. So I'm going to jump into the presentation. And if you have questions, feel free to post them. And either I or my marketing person, Lorian, will jump in and ask those questions for you. So if you check in your box, you have a questions area. So feel free to ask questions there. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen and go to present mode. Okay. So what we're really going to talk about today, as I mentioned, is really the life moments that your members are going through. And we really want to talk about how, as a brand, credit unions can really support those life moments, how we can build stronger relationships by helping everyone through those amazing times in their life, which often have some financial pressures associated with them. And the reason we want to talk about or focus our content a bit on these moments in time, it's because it helps define a content marketing strategy where we can build a relationship with each and everybody. We can build that engagement, and people will return to us as they go through the stages of life to ask us or look for answers on what's next. So if you are a kid who's just graduated from high school and heading off to college, the financial implications of that are numerous. But if the credit union and if we are able to help them understand those moments, then we've built a relationship for life. And when we think about these relationships that we're building with great content or engaging content, it solves what we talked about in our last presentation, that Google conundrum, because some of you may remember this slide where Google's mission, the way they talk about it, is to organize all information on the internet. But the reality is that they're really trying to answer the questions and solve problems that people have. So when someone does a search and says, I'm looking to buy a new car, the content that appears is going to be the content that's most relevant to that question. And if you have that great content, then your site will appear first. So how do we get started? How do we really think about, okay, we're going to think about life moments, and we're going to think about the great content that we can produce out there. And we're going to think about how we're going to produce it, where we're going to place it. Do I put it in an email newsletter and just push it out there? Do I put it on my website? Or maybe it's on a social site? Well, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, you have to think about the year that you're in and make sure you are using the communication strategies that are most successful for you and for them. And when I say that, I often get a lot of pressure from people saying, well, email is dead. Or you're going to tell me to put my content on social? Gary says put content on social. What the heck is the ROI on that? How do I figure that out? And Google keeps changing the game. So now with Panda 4.0, are the keywords gone? What's happening to all this information? So what we have here is that things have actually not gone as radical as everyone might think. When I started my first company, which was I Make News back in '99, everybody said that direct mail was dead. Forget about direct mail, only do email. Now, since I started an email newsletter company, I was pretty happy with that overall. But the reality was that was completely fake and false. Marketing evolves. Content types and styles evolve. So where direct marketing campaigns changed to be more interactive, to be leveraging web and back in 1999, so has content changed today. It has evolved. So when people say email is dead, they're kind of full of, bull. Because what it really has happened is that email is not dead. The content inside the email has evolved by adding social content. And we're going to talk about what that means. By adding content that is short and to the point, that helps drive increased sales opportunities. That helps drive increased reaction within our email newsletters. And when we think about SEO, people get very stressed out every time Google changes something. But what they're really trying to do is to help the consumer that they're targeting, which is people who are doing the searches, find quality content. So if you sustain quality content, and you do that along with similar other tactics that you've deployed before, keywords don't not matter. They still matter. You need to know what's the phrasing, what's the keywords that people are using to search for information about getting a car loan. They want you to have frequent website updates because too often in the internet today, there's many websites that have had great content that are not engaging anymore. They're not engaging in the websites. The websites have gone dry. Typically, maybe a marketing person was updating that website and then they left and nobody knows it, so they created a new website. Things like that happen. So really, things are evolving, and we need to stay on top of this evolution. So let's talk about how going through life moments helps us connect with our consumers, helps us plan for our content marketing programs, and helps us stay on top of the Google search pyramid. And I really like this piece here from Heidi Cohen. She talks about the 4 moments of truth in marketing. So if I have a child who's graduating high school and I am concerned or stressed about the payment of college, that comes early. The 0 moment of truth is I am going to recognize I am concerned. And I'm going to go online and I'm going to search for that information. And then the first and second moments of truth are the points where I say, you know what, I think I have an answer. I see how it reflects and can support our goals and objectives. I'm now using that marketing, that financial product is the second moment of truth to help guide myself and guide my family through this stressful moment. And the third moment of truth is because I've gone through it and the content was great and the financial firm was incredibly helpful, I am going to be talking about it on social media and I'm going to be sharing with all my friends and family how wonderful my experience was with that financial institution. And that's all because the financial institution started by thinking about having content that helps me plan moving forward. So let's take a few lessons here. So if you hear me talking about moving people through these life moments, but can it be successful? Well, Disney thinks it's successful. they think it's successful enough that they invest a lot of time and money and effort behind helping parents understand the stages of child development and then connecting those stages to the Disney magic. So they walk people through from when they're pregnant on through the early years of childhood, and they give great content and great information, which helps families be connected to the brand of Disney throughout their lives. Another great example is Bounty. We might not think of Bounty as anything more than a brand that sells paper towels, but they had a really successful campaign where they started to target certain points in people's lives. So specifically here, they talked about helping parents make decisions about buying baby products. Because there's nothing more stressful in some people's lives than when they have their first child. So Bounty decided to target a specific life moment that they felt that they could be helpful in. And they provide great content about that. And that great content had a lot of power to expand and grow the brand. And it's not just about the big brands. Western Federal Credit Union had this post on their Facebook page where people are raising their hand and saying, "Thank you for the 20 years that we've been doing business together. You have helped me through my life moments." The power of this statement is immeasurable. The value is immeasurable because this statement doesn't only impact as a good feeling for the people at Western Federal Credit Union, but it's a sign for all the people who follow Kelly Boyd to say, you know what? I did not have such a great experience with my financial institution. Maybe I should be checking out Western Federal Credit Union. So because they were there, because they engaged with Kelly, they received a lot of value from this piece of content. And that means that people are connected to them and wanting to work through them. So let's break it down. So how do we build our content strategy around all this? I'm just checking real quick for questions because we still don't have any yet. Okay, all good. So the stages of life events that we should take a look at is how it evolves from setting the goal to the plan, to getting to work, to sticking to the plan, and then finally reaching that goal, like being college bound. So for the life moments and life events that we want to talk about with our members, we want to make sure that we have content that is consistently updated, that walks people from each step that they're taking to keep them focused. And most importantly, when they've achieved it, to celebrate the achievement with our members, to not just say good work, but to be there and to represent how the credit union, how our financial institution has really helped this individual through their life moment. So let's talk a little bit about how do we deploy that content strategy? Because you might be saying, wow, Jeff, this is great. It's kind of intuitive. I get this, but you know what? How do I make this happen? How do I make this real? You're talking a lot about great things, but you know, it's giving me a little bit of a headache because I don't know how to deploy it, or you're not telling me how to deploy it. So let's talk about that. So first, let's build the editorial calendar by matching it to the stages of life. So we talked about that in the earlier slide where we look at each steps. But we don't have to only go out there and try to write a ton of content on our own. Google looks at three pieces of content to help rank your search rankings. One is curated content. Content that you look for, review, and have decided that this is relevant. So you're not just grabbing random RSS feeds, you're grabbing specific pieces of content from specific sources that will help explain the financial challenges and help resolve the financial challenges for those members. Second, there's many different ways to have original content developed. One, you could obviously write it yourself or hire a writer. Two, you can crowdsource some of the great content. There's tons of writers out there, and you can work with them to define your calendars and have them write short, pithy pieces of content that are relevant, engaging, and interesting to your consumers. And the third way to do this is combines with the fourth piece here, which is to celebrate each and every moment that you have with your members. Take photos. Photos are powerful. They help to define and capture people's imagination and engagement. So when you're targeting your moments, you can break it down into this kind of focused points where you think about the target audience, whether it's millennials, Generation X, boomers, seniors, or all of the above. You break it down to ideas where if you want to talk about education, what types of content sources can you use to help support people who are going through education? It could be US News and World Reports is one example. And then you supplement that with images of people who are members of your financial institution who are going off to college. They just graduated and they could say, I'm going to Wesleyan University in Connecticut, or I'm going to Michigan State, or I'm going to Florida State. So wherever they're going, you tag these great photos of them and combine that with content about how you've helped them or how to help others get to that point. And content that you can find is from US News and World Reports. It's a great source. Car purchases, you can look at Edmunds and share photos of people who have gotten car loans through your institution. And onward and onward. So once you've defined what it is that you're going to be talking about, you do want to go back and think about, okay, if I am going to try to sell more auto loans, and I'm going to use content from Edmunds, and I'm going to take some photos of people with their new car, well, what are the keywords that I need to embed either with the articles that I write or are created for me? What are the keywords that I want to use with the pictures that I take to help build traffic? And if you take a look, you can do some quick research on Google where you can see that the number one manufacturer mentioned in search is Honda, followed by Dodge, then BMW, Ford, and Mercedes. As far as cars go, the number one searched car right now is a Ford Mustang or the Ford F-Series. So by tracking these search results and helping to find that member who just bought the Ford Mustang and say, oh, another fabulous Ford Mustang sold and financed by our financial institution. Look at Jeff, he's so happy with his car. And the same thing goes for other areas. So if you want to talk more about planning for college and savings accounts, you could take a look at the top queries, whether it's money for college or college savings plans. These are all great terms that you, by incorporating them inside your content that you're curating, creating, and capturing in images, will help drive traffic to your site. And as I mentioned before, photos are powerful, but not just generic photos, like the gentleman on the left. If you had just financed someone's boat and then you're using a picture of old man ocean or river here in his captain's hat, That's not going to be as impactful as a real person sitting on his boat that you just helped to finance, or maybe they just retired and they bought their boat. That is impactful. And we're going to talk about why these pictures are more impactful. And the number one reason is photos get the most action and the most engagement on Facebook out of any other type of posting. Whether it's video, link, status, photos are still number one as of May 21st, 2013 from Social Bakers. And it's still true today. I know everyone's talking about video, and video is awesome. But when it comes to real engagement, people like to engage with photos. It's a quick look, it's a quick like, takes very little time, and they move on. And according to Pew Research, 47% of adults internet users take photos or videos that they have found online and repost them. So that's not only will the photos that you take of specific life moments be interesting to those, but they're also going to most likely share them on their own social networks, meaning that you get a larger bang for that buck. Because not only are you saying or building a connection, a loyalty with that picture, you're building an opportunity for a viral growth. And the pictures, there's a convergence happening. Once again, as we talked early on about the evolution of marketing, it's not just about, hey, I gotta throw up a bunch of pictures on my Facebook wall. No, you've got to use pictures on all your digital marketing locations because Facebook likes actually do improve natural search rankings. So if I put a Facebook page or if I put a picture on my web page with a Facebook like on it and people trigger the like, that's going to tell Google that, hey, this is good content, people are engaged with it, we should rank it higher. All right, I'm going to pause there to take a look to see if there's any questions. There are not right now, so we'll keep going, but feel free to post and ask any questions along the way. So let's kind of think about what I just said here, which is we talked a little bit about trying to research the keywords because we do want to know what our constituents are looking for. And that's a simple, easy Google search methodology where you can go in and say, what are the top keywords when people are buying a car? Attach those keywords to the photos that you're taking. Post those photos in different digital locations from email to websites, not just on social, and go for the like. Because by having relevant keywords, frequent photos, which is frequent content, and the likes, helps Google drive more traffic to your site. And once again, if Google's driving more traffic to your site, more people are seeing the content. It creates that ongoing domino effect where it's just will grow and the value of your site will grow. So what you really want to be thinking about in your deployment of all this content is how do I become a publisher? So I'm going to say it again in those three pieces that are important. You want to curate and find the relevant. You want to create and have some original stuff that you've created on your own or had crowdsourced to develop. And you want to capture because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And you want to make sure that these pictures are celebrating these great life moments, whether it's the new car or the folks on the boat who just retired and they're setting off to sea, or the people on the center bottom who just bought a new home. These are points in time that you've helped people walk through, which help you create that connection, engagement, and growth of opportunity. So let's talk about how do we keep it simple so we can do this, because there's a lot of information here. I would argue and tell people they should have a section of their website just dedicated 100% to celebrating life moments with your members. Pictures with links that direct people back to more information about how to save for college, about how to purchase that new car and what type of new car to purchase. Mobile phones makes it very easy for your bankers to capture those moments. So you go, a member comes in and says, you know what, I just financed my car. Thank you so much. The banker says, mind if I take a picture? Boom, they take a photo. The banker sends it off to the marketing department for posting. It becomes that easy. You can basically take that offline engagement that two people are having and turn it into an online experience that people can share. I would also dedicate a section of your email newsletter to celebrating with these members and with a very clear share. Because guess what? If I just got my new car and the credit union said, oh, Jeff Mesnick just got his new car and we financed it, I'm going to probably share that picture of my new car on my Facebook wall and say, thank you to the credit union for helping me get this great new car. And the value of that is unbelievable. So let's talk about a few different brands who've had experiences similar to this, where an article in the Wall Street Journal talked about this company, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Danijo, the retailer with necklaces, where they captured a photo of a girl wearing that necklace, which is an everyday person, not a model, and she was floored. She said, this is great. It shows how much the brand wants to connect with me as a consumer, that they're not just using models, but they want to use my picture, right? So that really connects people. And the same thing with Coach. Coach has created a whole area of their website dedicated to just showing consumers involved in the community with their products. Basically, once again, bringing pictures and connectivity together and making that loyalty and engagement happen, which drives more improved SEO. When someone types in looking for a Coach product, those pictures may show up first. So as we're coming towards the end of the presentation here, we do want to remind people that when you are building your content strategy, to talk with the firms to help make sure that they're responsive, because more people, and those of you who've heard me speak before know what I say, know I love this picture, that more people use a mobile phone than a toothbrush. So you want to make sure everything is mobile friendly that you work in. So let's just review the takeaways before we finish up. And I like to keep these webinars short. I'm hoping that you were able to walk away with one or two tidbits of information that you could take back and work on and help evolve. And if you want to talk with me more about tactically, how do you deploy these programs? I'm very happy to do that with each and every one of you. So feel free to reach out to me after this webinar and say, Jeff, I like what you said. I didn't get the tactical deployment exactly right as to what I want to do here. Can you help me with that? And I'm happy to do that. So people start researching for a need early on. So remember that as one of your key takeaways. So you want to make sure that you have good content that walks people through. So I talked about this briefly, but Edmunds has great content for people searching for cars. And there's studies that show that the millennial generation actually take longer and do more research before they make a major purchase. So it becomes more important that you have that great content today that represents the research that they're going to do and help them through it. The second takeaway is photos, 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 right? Because photos helps your natural search rankings. Photos help connect you to the individuals, and photos are shared on Facebook and all other social networks. So photos become one of your most powerful tools, especially when you're capturing those life moments that people are celebrating with you. Google favors engagement. So when you are sharing, when you have pictures that are getting shared, that's going to drive engagement. When you have people who are spending time on your site, reading or clicking through to the content that you're providing them, that shows engagement. And let's remember to always break down the walls and integrate your strategy. Don't only put pictures on social networks. Don't only use Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter or whatever social sites you have. And if you have a social person and they're just posting pictures there and they're not putting them on your website, you're missing out on a huge opportunity, because together they work so much better than they do alone. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciated the time. My name, once again, is Jeff Mesnick. I'm the president of ContentMX, and I've spent many years working with financial marketers. So I'm happy to help. I'm happy to talk about tactically deploying content strategies. And I look forward to hoping to have a chance to talk with each and every one of you later on in the week or over the next few weeks to discuss your content strategies and how I can help you make them more SEO friendly or drive more sales opportunities. So I will leave it at that and see if there's any questions. And
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
We have two questions, actually.
Oh, good.
The first one is, can you elaborate a little bit more about the latest changes to Google and how curating content impacts Google?
Sure. So Google, for those of you who may not have realized, Google Panda 4.0 just recently came out. And 4.0 really is focused a lot on the idea that they don't want people just syndicating content. So I know that there's a lot of firms out there, and I apologize if some of you are using that, who are using syndicated content that other people could use as well. So Google has decided that that is really difficult to represent as a high value since it's on many different sites. However, short messages of curated content that are reviewed editorially, which means that someone has taken the time to look at them before they just get posted, as opposed to an automated feed, have high value. So it's kind of a paradigm there. And the other things that have high value to keep in mind is that Google has now, and I've hammered this home a bit on this, so I apologize, but Google has really pushed the idea that photos, what I call now marketing, where you're taking the picture of the time that now has really a much higher value than it ever has had before in their determining the SEO value. And the last thing to keep in mind is that email drives traffic and traffic drives SEO. So if you think that you should not be doing an email newsletter anymore, well, you should. Email newsletters are great at driving content back to your website or driving people back to your website, and then driving that traffic helps to drive increased SEO value.
And we had one more question. Someone asked, do you have any recommendations on how to share reviews socially?
So if you have a great review like we had from Western Federal Credit Union, I would take that review and I would share it by placing it onto an email newsletter or onto my website. So there are tools out there that you can use that can pull that content right in and share it out, or you can copy and paste. So whatever you wish to do, but you should definitely leverage those pieces because that's public content now. Someone posted it up there. They've given you the rights to it basically because they made it public. And you should leverage that to its nth degree. All right, is that it?
That is it.
Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I hope that you found something useful here, and I'd love to hear any thoughts about it from anyone who wants to share with me and say, Jeff, this was great, or, please next time add some more of this or that, because we will continue to grow these webinars and go into the next storyboard, so to speak, of the Google Conundrum, the life moments. We'll see what's next. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day and have a wonderful 4th of July.